Hi, Genki Call here with your Soulforge offerings for the week of August 21st, 2021. One thing I will say is it might be worth spending some of your green gems what are green jewels, this week if you need Moon Rabbit. Moon Rabbit is a really nice troop to have for Guild Wars. Empowered to start battle with full mana and does a convert from blue to yellow, plus gives life to all other allies and blesses the first ally, so if they're entangled or stunned, that goes away. So something to consider. Do I recommend doing that? No. I mean, that's entirely up to you and your goals in the game, but just wanted you to be aware that it is available. It's the most interesting, to me, troop that you can possibly summon this week. As far as the other troops, Scion is... I've never found Scion to be that useful because the scatter damage, even though it's true scatter damage, is not much. The draining 7 mana from all enemies is very nice, but there are better ways to do that nowadays. Also steals enemy mana when doing skull damage, but you have to have him at the front of the team to do that, and he has no skull damage reduction. But the magic link is very nice with the extra purple mana from purple gem matches. Sylvana Mora, I really enjoy Sylvana Mora for quick delves. Explode a column does damage to all enemies. That gets boosted a lot when you're delving from your horde stats. Gain 2 life on 4+ gem matches and entangle the first enemy on 4+ gem matches as well. Next, for legendaries, we've got the Volfire Hunter. This guy came in during some Vulpecea event that we were doing, Kingdom Pass, I think, and you get to choose one of the 2 spells. Either deal true damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems, or deal splash damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems. The only reason you'd ever do the second spell is if the troop you're going to cast on already has its armor stripped off. Otherwise, of course, you'd want to do the true damage. Skull damage reduction by 65%, that's a lot. It's the same as Borealis and Gorgotha, I believe. And starts battles with 25% mana. Would I craft it? Personally, no. None of these... Oh, and Glaycion. Glaycion is kind of like a mythic himself. Transforms yellow gems to red and red gems to doom skulls. Freezes the strongest enemy, has 65% skull damage reduction. He's just a very powerful troop that doesn't get used very often, but as far as the double convert goes and the skull damage reduction, he's a very good troop. 20 mana cost is quite a bit, but he's a good troop. Would I spend 800 diamonds on any of them? Personally, no, unless you have a specific team that you're dying to try out or you need the troop for your power levels at a kingdom. I would not recommend it. It's better to save up for the mythics. As far as the mythics go, none of them look that great, but let me show you something. There are only 4 mythics left in this mythic cycle, and then we start a new mythic cycle. So next week, these are the mythics that are going to be in the Soulforge, or these are the ones that should be in the Soulforge. Dao, Fallen Valdis, Phoenix, and Kurindara. After that, we're starting a new mythic cycle. That means the mythic that you want the most could be showing up in as little as 2 weeks. So next week we should have these, then we start the new mythic cycle. So keep that in mind when you're deciding whether or not to spend your diamonds this week. Okay, so as far as the mythics that we have in here, nothing really interesting in here, but let's go over them. First, we have Jotnar Stormshield. He is going to be doing true damage to an enemy boosted by barriered allies and giant allies. Each barriered ally will give you, and each giant ally will give you an additional 7 true damage. Then you also give a random ally a barrier on 4+ gem matches. I mean, that is super. We love the barrier. He could be used just for this. And then you could cast him as a finisher or something. Yeah. Next up we have Queen Aurora. She's a good troop that I never ever use. She gives all other allies barrier and life when she casts. Plus, she creates 10 gems of any color you want, so you can possibly loop with her, especially if there is a possibility to loop with one of these 3 colors. You can loop with her over and over and over again and really buff your troops, much like with Sycorax and that kind of thing, or Shabanu Vespera. And this is the only troop in the game that has a rainbow link. You get bonus mana from all gem matches. So any color you match, if you match 3, you're actually going to get 4 every single time. 1 additional mana for every single color you match. So that's pretty cool. Now, there is one more thing that's very significant about Queen Aurora, and that is that she is from Silverglade. Silverglade is a magic kingdom. I highly recommend getting your magic kingdom power levels up as high as possible. Once you get to 10, level 10, if you're mythic blocked there and have a chance to get unmythic blocked, it's going to be very good for you because it's +1 magic when you get past level 10. And there are others as well. And I suppose I should show you what I'm talking about. So let's head over to the Silverglade and I will show you this is a magic kingdom. The way I know it's magic kingdom is because it says right here, level 10. Did I say power level? I meant just kingdom level. My bad. There's a difference. Yeah. +1 magic at level 10. +1 magic again at level 15. And again at, level 20, but who has a level 20 kingdom? I don't know anybody with a level 20 kingdom, but that's beside the point. Let's go back to the Soulforge. I digress. Troops. Next up, we have the Champion of Anu. I have him, but I haven't used him yet. I got him not too terribly long ago. He will silence, stun, and drain all mana from one enemy. Deal damage to them and all enemies below them, meaning he's going to hit, if you target the top troop, he's going to hit the entire enemy team regardless of whether or not they're submerged, because technically it's not an AoE spell. So he looks pretty useful to me. If you're doing, it's an extra click to target a troop, but especially in a delve, he could be very useful. He has skull damage reduction by 60%, and all blue allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of each turn, which can really add up if it's a long battle. Next, we have Taureus, and Taureus he looks good on paper, except it's a 10-to-1 boost ratio. So add together his attack, life, and armor, and then divide by 10. And that's the boost you're going to get on this damage. It just doesn't do enough. Even in a delve environment where you've got the boost, even if you use Shield of Raskaya on him and maybe Emberina Zara or Divinia or something to boost all of his stats, he's still not going to do much damage compared to some other mythics because of that 10-to-1 ratio. That's just crazy. Crazy bad. And the rest of this is not very noticeable. Next up, weapons. So the first thing I want to point out is the new weapon, the Scaled Blade. I highly recommend that you do not purchase this in the Soulforge because it's going to cost you 200 diamonds. If you're going to be doing the journey event, you'll get it for free just by spending your gems. Or buy an extra tier and get the Scaled Blade in the event shop because gems are a lot easier to get than diamonds. Alright, now that we're done with that, let's go back and go over the rest of these things. We have the Explosion, and explode 4 gems of a chosen color and heal life just for your hero. Is it great? No, it's not. But keep in mind, keep an eye on your weapons in every kingdom, because you don't want to get weapon blocked. It's the hardest counter to getting your power levels up in the game. If you don't have the weapon, you have to wait until we come back to the kingdom to get the weapon. And that could be 6 months, it could be a year. So forewarned is forearmed. Next up is the Mystery Egg. This is going to create 8 red and 8 yellow gems, then summon either a dragon egg or a fell dragon egg. It'll bless the hero. Um, it's not amazing, but it's okay. Maybe, depending on the team. The Volcanic Shield is going to give armor to an ally. If the ally uses red mana, give double armor, and if the enemy has a boss, explode all red gems. Bosses, there are a lot of bosses in the game now. Every one of the gem dragons, and of course Zolgoth, Enraged Kurandara, anything with a red border on it is considered a boss. So, this is more useful than it used to be, but it's just a little something extra there. Mace of Claws, I really like this. Usually only use it in delve environments. Does damage to an enemy boosted by dragon allies, then creates a mix of 6 red and purple gems for each dragon ally. Very good for any dragon that uses purple, obviously. But also the Dragon Soul uses red and purple, and between the two of them you can get some nice explosions. I do use it occasionally, but there are better weapons out there. Again, though, you don't want to get, weapon blocked. Next up is Torque of the Dragon. This is going to remove all red gems. You won't get any mana from it, but you will deny that color to your enemies. It's going to do damage to an enemy boosted by the gems removed, and if the enemies from Dragon's Claw or the battles in Dragon's Claw, deal double damage. Next is the Doomed Focus. As far as the Dooms go, I'll add some videos in at the end of this video explaining why you should be crafting weapons, explaining which doomed weapons you should craft first, in my opinion. The thing is about the doomed weapons is that you have to temper them. Except for the ones that create doom skulls, you have to temper them for them really to be any good. And the forge scrolls are expensive and hard to get, so that's something maybe to wait on. As far as the weapons go, 900 diamonds is a lot to spend on something you're not going to be able to use. Why not spend 300 on something you're not going to use instead? You know what I mean? But this Dragon's Tail is going to do damage to an enemy boosted by Dragon's Claw allies, then create a mix of 6 red and purple again. For each Dragon's Claw ally, if you have to choose between dragons or Dragon's Claw, I personally prefer to have less of a restriction and go with just dragons rather than a kingdom. So personally would recommend the Mace of Claws over the Dragon's Tail, but this one uses green and yellow, and the other one uses green and brown, I think. Yes, green and brown. So they do use different colors at least, and if you don't want to get weapon blocked, it's something to keep in mind. I think that is it. Yes, because I already went over the Scaled Blade. Now there is one more weapon that will be in the Soulforge Tuesday only during the Worm Run Faction Assault. Dragon's Talon. This is going to do damage to the first 2 enemies boosted by skulls, and it'll barrier the first barrier itself. I think it barrier myself, among other things. So it's not amazing, but it is another weapon for Dragon's Claw. It will be available in the Soulforge tomorrow, Tuesday, during the Worm Run Faction Assault only. It's the only time you can get this weapon, but I recommend getting it in the Faction Assault shop instead because you can get it for gems instead of diamonds. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please check out the videos that you see on the screen right now if you're interested. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye!